All right, so I've had a lot of people reach out to me recently that have asked me where our next guest has been, when is he fighting again, and I figured we'll just bring him on and talk to him all about it. It's been well over a year since he made a big splash in his UFC debut against Michel Pereira. Let's check in with Tristan Connelly. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So a lot to catch up on. First off, it's a new year. We're still dealing with this pandemic, and where I'm at, it's actually gotten way worse than it has since March. How has everything been going up north?
Better than down there, but it's, getting worse as well. Everything, it's, hopefully this is just the last bit of it before it ends. Cause, we're everything's shut down now. Like luckily being a professional athlete, I'm allowed to create a small training bubble with me, but we can't have classes if they come by and I'm training with anyone that's not another professional or another recognized athlete, then we'll get in trouble. And so it's it's hard for everyone up here, man. Everyone's on lockdown. There's nothing to do. Gyms are closed. Everyone's starting to go crazy. So, it's kind of, down for you guys, it's people are sort of doing things, but it's, what's better? I don't know. For me, I'd rather do stuff, but it's crazy watching everything happen.
Yeah, it's just wild, man.
Yeah, man.
In terms of your fighting career, like we said, the last time we saw you fight was September of 2019, that short notice win. And I know you were supposed to fight in April on that card in Portland, I believe, before everything got officially shut down and the event started getting canceled. You were actually out in Las Vegas when all of this was going on, weren't you?
I was 3 weeks out of that card when it happened. Everyone, we were there, all the sports were getting shut down. Me and Cole Smith were there. We were training, we were getting ready, and other people were leaving town. Everyone else was it's time to go. And we were we're not leaving. I'm staying. Because I was planning on going home and then coming back. I'm I'm just going to stay in the States till I fight now. And so I'm already here. We're all good. So literally they came in while I was in the sauna at the PI, and they told us, they're no, we're still open. We're still going. And we're in the sauna an hour later. They came in, they're yeah, this is the last day. You got to leave after this. We're closed. We're well, and the gyms are all yeah, we're closed. And we're okay. And they're you better get back to Canada because they're going to close the borders. And we're oh, okay. So then I came home. And then that actually started a cascade of things that I am just sort of getting on top of now. I ended up getting neck surgery. And that was actually from an injury that was from a car accident. Actually 2 years ago now. It was in January of 2019. So I think the only thing keeping me going was the fact that I never really stopped. After the car accident, the next day I started getting pain down my arm. My fingers started going numb. But I was so fit and strong, and I didn't stop sparring and doing stuff, but I just kept lifting weights and kept rehabbing. In about a month, 2 months, felt back to more or less 100%. And the doctor assumed it was just a muscle spasm. My fingers always still stayed numb. I had little flare-ups. Sorry about that.
There it is. It's all good.
Can you see me? Yeah. Perfect. Sorry, someone tried to call me there. So I had little flares. We just thought it was a muscle thing that was pushing on the nerve because I was able to do so much, and training made it better. So I just carried on. Then, flash forward to be getting ready to fight, felt great. 3 weeks before, come home, and then everything's in lockdown. So there's no training. All I'm doing is sitting around, stretching, doing push-ups, and be going for runs. And about 2 months in, over a course of about 5 days, the pain started getting worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where it was 10,000% of the normal pain. It felt like my arm was being held in a fire while being electrocuted. I couldn't hold my head up for more than 2 seconds. My wife, who was 8 months pregnant, I was yelling at her to get a towel and put it on my head and just pulling it because neck traction was the only thing giving me any relief. The doctors kept upping my meds. Nothing was doing anything. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks straight. I just lay in bed in agony, going and just laying on the ground, pulling my head, putting my head on the ground. And then I finally, they ordered an MRI and got an MRI, and the doctors freaked out. They're oh my God, I have 3 severely herniated discs. One that's are you falling over? Are you pissing your pants? This is pushing on your spinal cord. How am I? No, I'm just, my arm's on fire and my fingers were totally numb at this point. I couldn't hold my head would be like this. And I'd hold it up for 30 seconds. It'd be too weak. It would fall down. I'd have to hold my head up like this. And I tried desperately to avoid surgery. I did everything I could. I started being able to shadow box, and that was the best thing ever, because with nervous stuff, rest is the worst, right? You rest and it just makes it worse. But if you do too much, it makes it worse. So you got to keep moving, but not doing too much. So I found shadow boxing is the best thing. And for 3 months, I just shadow boxed 3 hours a day. Every day I go out, and that would kind of make me feel better. But as soon as I tried to do any like resistance type training, it would just get really pissed off. And there was no strength. I couldn't do a push-up. I couldn't do anything. Then finally, I talked to the surgeon, Dr. Sun out of Victoria. I have to give him a shout out, because he, like in Canada, it's a long wait to talk to a neurosurgeon. He got me in like 4 days when it was time for surgery. And there's not many. Most surgeons in Canada are going to want to do a fusion. And even talked to some American doctors, and they wanted to do like a 2 or 3 level fusion. Maybe one artificial disc and a 2-level fusion. And this surgeon's like, look, we're only getting symptoms of 1 disc. He's like, and I don't want to fuse it with what you do. He's like, I want to put an artificial disc. And so he started doing his research, and he found that Chris Weidman had the Prestige LP disc, which is, it's only a 2-piece disc. It's only 2 pieces. There's not many moving parts. It's a ball and socket. So, there's other discs out there, and he went with that one because it's the simplest disc as far as there's nothing to break. It's just there's one piece that's like a trough, and one that's a ball, and they hammer it into your, they go in through your throat. They pull out all the disc, and they hammer the new disc in, and then there's little teeth that kind of bite in. And over a course of a year, really, but they said 3 months is really the most important. The bone just sort of ossifies or heals around that disc and just comes connected. And then there's just this 2 titanium trank tack titanium pieces that just slide around. There's nothing to break. So I actually I reached out to Chris too, and he said, man, I've had like 25 surgeries or something. This was the most scary surgery, and it was the best surgery you ever had. Like, you're gonna feel great. Like, you wake up and you feel awesome. And he was right. Like, I woke up and my pain was gone. The only thing I had left was my fingers. They gave me painkillers because they cut your throat open and go through. But like, pain in the throat is nothing compared to nervous pain. Like, I mean, I deal with pain well, and I was in agony. I've never been in such pain in my life. And then I had to wait 3 months. So I went down actually to Vegas for a month and started my rehab. And that was going well. The strength, it's still coming back. I'm probably about 75% strength right now. But I've been cleared about a month and a half to start contact training. So I've just been sparring, rolling, grappling, feeling good. The cardio has still got, a little ways to go. I feel like I'm almost like my cardio is fine compared to other fighters, but I'm a cardio fighter. Usually, like, I will crush other guys in cardio. So I feel like I'm about 50% there. Give me another month and a half, and I'll probably be good to go. Jump right into a short notice camp. Like, I don't need an 8-week camp particularly, or even 8 or 10 or 12-week camp. I want to get to a point where it's okay. I can fight in 4 weeks. My diet has been awesome. I am lighter than I'm leaner than I've ever been. Everything else is on point, and I was doing a lot of technical stuff whenever I could do technical stuff. So I feel like I've leveled everything up. Now it's just getting back into shape. My timing is feeling good now. My grappling, I feel like my grappling improved and my striking improved, just shadow boxing and watching videos and stuff, because I couldn't train. So I was really focused on the mental side of everything. And then I feel now like I'm going to be a new Tristan coming in here in 2021.
Man, what a gnarly story. That's crazy, man. That surgery is something else. I mean, luckily, like, Chris got back to you, and did conversing with him and him saying what he said about the surgery being the best thing for him, that sort of like ease things a little bit for you?
For sure. I mean, neurosurgery is never something you want to do. Right. And then I did try, like, I could have gotten the surgery right away, maybe been 3 months ahead, but I talked to the surgeon right away, and he's like, I'm like, well, I talked to him 2 weeks after this episode, and I'm like, I am improving. It's just slow. And like, he's like, well, I don't want to just cut you open right now. He's like, let's see let's try for like a couple months and see what happens. And my pain was getting better, but as the pain, because I was doing stuff, I was moving, but the weakness started becoming more apparent. Initially, when he asked about weakness, it's like, weakness, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just in agony. And then as that started to clear, it became more and more obvious that the neurological line. So like, it was like my rotator cuff, my tricep, my forearm extender, and like up my pec. Like a dip, I couldn't even hold myself up. A push up, I couldn't even pull myself up. even after the surgery, I went to the PI. They wanted me to do like a angle push up, and I like started like twisting on the other arm. Like, no, okay, no, not doing that. And so now I'm at a point where I can do like 25 push-ups again, where before this, I could probably do 45 push-ups. So it's coming, it's getting there. And I don't notice it when I'm actually fighting. I don't notice it at all. Like, I mean, strength in fighting, fighting is more than just one thing, right? You're able to compensate. So I feel great when I'm fighting. It's when I do those, like when I work with my strength coach, we see, okay, yeah, that it's still not quite as strong as the other arm, but it every week better and better and better. And that's only about 6 months probably. I should be probably pretty much back to 100%. So I'm about 5 months now, so I'm almost there.
I'm obviously not a doctor, and I don't even know if like the doctors that you spoke with can even answer this question, but were you fighting the whole time with these injuries, or was this something that sort of built up along the way?
Well, what I think and what the doctors seem to go along with, obviously, like we didn't have imaging before, but, I never had neck problems. I know that the car accident caused a lot of issues because my head snapped forward and the airbag went off and I held myself and it snapped forward. And the next day it was all tight after. And the next day I started getting it. So I know that caused a lot of the damage, but we know that with these things that movement is king, right? So like when any kind of injury, rest is only good for a short amount of time. And then after that, you got to get things moving. You got to stimulate the body, you got to stress it, and that will make it adapt to the new situation. So I just kept going, and then that kind of kept me all right. Like I had like little things where I might get a little bit of pain, but if we're talking percentages, like say it was 100% after the car accident, it went down to 10%. It might go up to 20 and back down to 10, which not very alarming. But then when it went to 10,000%, there was nothing I could do. I didn't think about anything else. I was in agony for the birth of my daughter. Like, obviously it was awesome, but we went into the hospital and I had like a 10-pound dumbbell, resistance bands, and are you moving it in? What's going on? I'm like, I have to do. I can't just sit here. I have to do this. Like, if I stop moving, I'll just die. Like, I had a neck hammock in the hospital. They come in, and I'm like to check on her, and I've got a neck hammock going in my head. Like, but I did the best I could, and I feel great now.
Yeah, man. How are you enjoying fatherhood so far?
Oh, it's amazing. Everyone tells you it's going to be how awesome it is, but it's just nothing else in life like it. As soon as you hold that little baby, it's just, you love them more than anything else, and everything else melts away. As much as this year has been horrible with everything, it's actually been a great year because of her. Like she is, the positivity of her is better than all the negativity of everything else. Obviously, I'm not happy to go to any of the other stuff, but it's really been something that's kept me going.
A good sleeper?
No, not at all. I haven't slept in 6 months. Other than when I went to Vegas for months to rehab. That was the best sleep I got.
There you go. There you go. Have you like noticed a change in yourself? Because like I know that's kind of like a cliche question that reporters ask fighters when they become parents and stuff. Like, have you noticed like a change within yourself? Like, I know you're dealing with a lot of other stuff, but you've always been a pretty focused guy. I don't see a lot of like change.
No, I'm pretty much know what I'm after. No, there wasn't really any change in that way. More motivated for sure. But I was always pretty motivated. So it's hard to go past 100%. It just, you'll reaffirm that, reignite. I mean, not the fire's ever gone, but just one more thing, right? Like it just, I'm super excited to keep fighting here. I just turned 35. I was late to the party. My first fight wasn't until I was 25. And I was behind to start. So I'm here now. I've got at least 5 years left, I think. I was a late bloomer in life. Like even as a kid, I looked like I was 12 when I was 18. So when I was 25, I started fighting. I looked like I was probably 16 at that point. So I feel like I'm 35, but I'm out working all the 28-year-olds. I'm fitter. I have less miles on me. I feel great. I don't have any, like, other than the neck. That was the first real bad injury I've ever had. And it wasn't even from fighting.
That's so wild.
I know. I've never, knock on wood, I've never had anything bad happen fighting. I've bumps and bruises. I've had my knee scoped a couple times, but I don't even know if that was that. I might have been skateboarding years ago. It's been a long time since that happened. Other than that, like I'm durable and tough. I kind of joke. It's like, it takes a car accident at highway speeds to slow me down, and even that, it only brought me to my knees, and I'm right back up again.
Was there any talk about your fight career being in jeopardy at all? Like, even if you got like the other surgery, would there have been any issue of coming back?
Well, so when I talked to the UFC doctor, they said, if you get a 3 level, then yeah, a lot of commissions won't let you fight. The 2 level, maybe. But in my head, that was I was like, well, then I'm not getting that. Like, I won't get the thing that, like, I'll just go through the pain and fight through the pain. That's how it'll go. Like, I won't make the choice that tells me I have to stop fighting. And I talked to one guy from New York, and he was like, some MRI was like, you're gonna go paralyzed if you fight again. If you get choked or hit. I'm like, whoa. Why has no one else said that to me? Like, my team of physiotherapists, chiropractors, doctors, even the other neurosurgeon I talked to, like, why are they not worried about that? So I started doing some research. I'm like, okay, well, clearly if he's worried about it, it must have happened before. Like, in the world of fighting, that's never happened. Okay, fighting small. Let's look at other sports. Paralysis in sport. No shortage of paralysis in sport. Guess what? A herniated disc, can't find a single example of it ever happening. Even, in the entire history of the internet, let's look for an example of it happening. Can't find a single one. All I can find is anecdotal evidence that says in extreme rare situations, a herniated disc could potentially cause paralysis, though very unlikely. And even talking to my physiotherapists and chiropractors, they're like, in school they talk about it, and they even like, we've never seen or heard of this happening, but theoretically, apparently it can happen. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not really a concern then. And then you look at what causes paralysis. It's when someone's head gets spiked in the ground and it either breaks the vertebrae clean in half, or the disc completely slides in half and separates it. So it's like that. Well, there's always a risk of that. I mean, my neck could be perfectly healthy, and if that that's a situational where it doesn't matter what the state of my neck is, that's going to paralyze you or kill you. So I was like, well, I'm not going to listen to the guy I think he's just trying to instill fear in me and try to get me to go get surgery from him, because he wanted to do like a year and a half of stem cell shots with an artificial disc and a fusion and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Jeez. So they you basically talked to a bunch of different doctors, and they all had like different pitches, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then the surgeon that I talked to, actually, I had a bit of a rapport with him. I had a lower back issue about 10 years ago. I had bad sciatica, and some bulging discs. And the surgeon actually works out of my friend Jamie Grimes' office, Synergy in Victoria. And he's a good friend of mine. He's been raving about this guy for years. He's like, he's the rock star surgeon. He's a superstar. And I'm like, Jamie's your buddy. You're just, I figured like he's probably lots of surgeons like him. But then of course I needed neck surgery. And I'm like, well, let's talk to this guy. And I know he did the artificial discs, which are rarer. But since then, I've actually talked to Medtronic, the company that makes the discs. And I'm, they're super excited about me having the disc in my neck and following me. And I've talked to them a lot. And they said, yeah, that Dr. Sun, he's known for being one of the rock star surgeons in Canada. He does the surgeries that other people won't do. We talked to going into the surgery. So another thing that sort of suggests that this was there for a while is when the surgeon went in, the disc had actually fused to the nerve. And most surgeons, apparently a lot of them, when they see that, they just pull out and are inoperable, because what he had to do is he had to take an extra 2 hours and slowly cut it off the nerve, which is super dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But when I woke up from the surgery, he would be, it took me a couple extra hours, it's fused on there, but I got it off, no problem. And we got that in there. It was just another day, no big deal. And I'm like, okay. And then after I'm talking to other doctors, they're like, that's pretty fucked up. Like, most surgeons won't even touch you when it's like that. And he even said, he's like, it was way worse than the MRI showed when I went in there. Sometimes the MRI doesn't really do it justice. It's like, it was really messed up. He's like, you definitely needed the surgery. Because I was actually waiting to get an epidural first, that epidural in the neck, which is very specialized. There's only a few doctors around that do it, because you need a live CT machine or a live X-ray machine. It's super expensive, and they have to inject you with all these dyes and everything. and it's supposed to, 90% of people, apparently it helps. But when he said when he went in, because of that, he's like, he wouldn't have done anything. And he's like, not that it necessarily would have been bad. He's like, but it's just, there's a risk with it. He's like, so it has been an extra risk that you didn't need to take, and you would have needed the surgery anyway.
Jeez, you probably know more about necks than anybody in the UFC right now.
I do. I said that. So Medtronic actually sent me little models of the discs in my neck. The guy's like, oh, I want to send you them. So I have like the surgeon models of like, should we go get it? The actual discs so I can show people. Like, and I've been always a science guy, and I always research everything. I always say, you know what, I've either seen a lot of things hurt, or I've injured most things, and I research everything about it. So as far as sports injuries go, I'm pretty well versed in most of the things that can go wrong, in most of the not necessarily all it's like the paths of treatment. I don't necessarily know how to do the treatment or anything, but like I can tell you where you probably need to go see and different options and what you should sort of think about and go research yourself. Like I'm pretty knowledgeable on that kind of stuff.
What do you think this whole situation and the layoff and everything, what do you think it's like taught you the most?
It's a good question. You know what it's taught me the most? That I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right career, because all I've thought about is getting back to it. And there was, people like, well, a lot of people like this, retire, like retire. What are you talking about? Like the first thing I called Jason House, my manager, I said, we're going to tell him about it. I'm like, first thing, before I tell you any of this, retirement is not even a word that I know. Like, so, because I didn't want him to go and talk my neck and have him, you're like, nope, like just end that one right away. And then I told him about the situation, said, hey, it's going to be a bit, we're going to have to chase this thing, get it dealt with. But then once it's done, I want to hit the ground running. Like I want to fight 5 times this year if I can. Like I plan on, I'm actually just finishing up the renos in my gym. I sent you a picture yesterday. It's just I've been doing. So that's another thing I've been working on since all these lockdowns is we've been we were planning on renovating and moving our gym. So I've just putting way more effort into that. I've been there like 10. I've been doing my training and then 8 hours, 10 hours a day, just there doing stuff. And it's like yesterday I put the last paint on. Now it's literally branding stuff up and decorating. Like the gyms, we can train in it now. So I can get that. I got to get a new payment system set up for everyone. And then after that, actually super excited. I've teamed up with Dennis Kang, who's, a Canadian MMA icon. Yeah. He's now kind of come in as our head MMA and jiu-jitsu coach. And so take off the load off my shoulders. Like I'm getting it set up so I can just fight and train. I can take off, go to Vegas when I want, and he's going to keep everything running. When I come back, I have top-notch training, and his guys are great, merging with our guys. Now, there's no one in the lower mainland that's even hold a candle to us at this point, because, we are pretty much the best. We're the best 2 teams around, and now we've just merged. So really looking forward to that partnership.
The super team in Canada. Holy moly.
We're looking to be, Faraz on the West Coast. That's our goal,
There you go. So, perfect world, April, May, first one, or even sooner than that?
Even potentially March. I plan on, as soon as I get this done, me and my wife are just getting our place ready to list and sell, as we need to move with the baby to need more space. So what the plan is now, the gym's pretty much done. Next week, we're going to be cleaning the place up, getting it ready to list. Once that's done, I can put most of my stuff in storage, so that way, there's no clutter for me. And I'm just gonna head down to Vegas, and I'm just gonna stay training there. I think give me a month there training, just pure fight camp, and then if they offer me a fight within 8 to 10 weeks there, I would take it. But after that month, I'll be if I feel good, everything's going well, no surprises, which I don't suspect any. I'll just be like, hey, 4 weeks, let me know. I'm ready. I'm here. You booked me a fight. I'm just going to stay here until I fight. I don't want to leave until I fight. So then I'll come home and, provided I'm healthy, I'll be like, give me another one. I'm going to stay near weight. I've gotten over, had the binge eating thing after. I don't want to run weight loss camps. Usually I walk around 185, 190, just standard. Right now I'm probably 9% body fat, walking around at 175. Like, and once a week, I get down to about 170, 169, just to see that I can do it, because I just want that easy cut to 55, and then right back up to 175 easy. And that's, I typically have blown back up to 180, 185 when I fight, and it's too much. You get like that. It's hard for your body when you've been going so low and you're trying to stay low for a while, and then you blow up, and it's like, well, your body's carrying this weight that's not used to anymore. So I want to kind of stay in that 170, 175 range, so I can fight there where I feel like I'm good, I'm strong there. If I get bigger than that, like, that just slows you down a bit. I always feel like when I'm that big, I'm huffing and puffing after the fight in ways that I'm usually not. So I just want to get my body used to this weight, drop down, drop back up, and be able to fight over and over and over again. Like, I want to be the guy that's just taking all the short notice fights and is fighting forever. Like, like I said, I'm 35. I want to have a good 5 years here. I want to make up for lost time, and I want to make some fans and excite the fans.
So you want to be the Kevin Holland of 2021.
That's right. That's right.
I did want to ask you about Michel Pereira, because that 15 minutes he spent with you, I think you changanged him, man. Like, I did.
I joke my friends. I watch him fight now, but thank God he didn't fight like that against me. Like, yeah, because he's looking awesome. Like, I mean, I could be people I say, oh, this clown, he's fighting. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I got nothing bad to say about the guy. First of all, I just showed up. He did most of the work for me, right? He was the one flipping and jumping and making it exciting. I just didn't go down. Like, it wasn't actually that hard for me. I was just me, and he was him, and that's what made it so exciting. But yeah, and I've seen him a bunch of times. I saw him in Vegas. It was pretty funny. He came in with Johnny Walker, and me and Johnny Walker's are buddies. We were hanging out last time I was in Vegas. Before, we were hanging out a bunch, and so he walks in, and everyone's in like the hot tub, and they're like, oh, like, he thinks like, oh, what's he gonna have? And he doesn't really speak English, so he talks to Johnny, like, hey, it says to Johnny, and Johnny, he said, hey, my friend, I make you rich. And I'm like, oh yes, thank you. And we said that I'm actually looking forward to going back and actually training with him. Like, I'm sure when we train, it's going to be a very different thing now that he's fought me. He's not going to give me any of the chances that he gave me in that fight. But yeah, hey man, the better I want to see him go straight to the top, man. Just the better he does, the better I look. So hey, I wish all my opponents all the success, unless they fight me again, of course. And with Michel, he's never getting that one back, because I'm not going back to 170.
I mean, you got that one forever. It's that extra $100,000 in your bank account doesn't get much better than that, especially with everything you've got going on.
Yeah, it's really kept me like I don't do anything. I don't go out. I don't eat out very often. I cook my own food. I eat like 1 to 2 meals a day, realistically, because I don't want to gain weight. And just all real food. So I don't have a high cost of living. My biggest expense is really like gas, because I drive all over. So that's, it's been really, really helpful over this layoff. It's, I haven't had to worry too much, and it's, again, helping my wife be able to afford now to move into a bit of an upgrade. So we're going to, I plan on just keeping going and making way more of those bonuses.
Yeah, man. What a road it has been to get to this point. And looks like 2021 is going to be your year. I appreciate you checking back in. Like I said, a lot of people were asking, like, when's Tristan Connelly fighting again? But hearing this story, I mean, I knew bits and pieces of it because I watched your interview with James Lynch over the summer. James is a good friend of mine, and just hearing it more and more, like all those steps, it's just so wild to hear, man. But good for you. I'm glad you're clear, and looking forward to see you back in there. Congratulations on becoming a dad, and looking forward to seeing you 5 times in 2021, Tristan.
That's right. All right. Thanks for having me on the show, Mike, and look forward to kicking some ass and talking to you again soon.